Hey everyone, and welcome! Today, we are pulling back the curtain on one of the most powerful, yet kind of invisible forces in our digital lives. We're talking about Java, the silent workhorse that powers a huge chunk of the tech you use every single day. So let's dive right in. So let me start by asking you a question. Just think for a second about your Android phone, how you stream movies on Netflix, or even how your bank manages all its transactions. I mean, what on earth could possibly tie all those different things together?
You guessed it, the answer is Java. That's right. From the phone in your pocket to the massive global financial systems, Java is the engine humming away under the hood, making it all happen. And that's exactly what we're going to unpack today.
All right, so let's kick things off with the places you actually run into Java's handiwork every day, probably without even knowing it. We're talking about the apps in your pocket and the websites you're always on.
Okay, first up, mobile. Look, if you're one of the billions, and I do mean billions of people with an Android phone, then you're using Java constantly, probably every single hour.
And what's so wild is just how deep Java runs in the Android world. For a long time, it was the language for building apps. Think about your grocery shopping app, the part that scans a barcode or handles your payments securely. Yeah, that's very often Java doing the heavy lifting. And the reason it works so well across all those different phone models is because of this one special thing built right into the operating system. But we'll get to that in just a bit.
Okay, so let's jump from the phone in your hand to the websites on your screen. Because Java isn't just about the apps you can see and touch, it's an absolute giant on the back end of the web.
So when you're scrolling through a massive site like Amazon or you're deep into a weekend binge watch on Netflix, that's Java working tirelessly behind the scenes. It's the thing that's managing massive databases of products, securely processing millions of orders, and streaming just incredible amounts of video data all over the world. There are these powerful frameworks, like one called Spring, that give developers the tools to build these huge services that can handle millions of us all at the same time.
All right, now let's zoom out. We're going to go from consumer tech to the really heavy-duty, mission-critical systems that basically run the global economy. And this is where Java's reputation for being rock solid really shines.
In the world of big business, finance, banking, failure is just not an option. And for decades, when it comes to building the systems that absolutely cannot fail, Java has been the go-to choice. And this is just a perfect example of why it's so trusted. We're talking about the core systems at your bank that hold your money, the payment pipelines that process millions of transactions a second, and all those complex workflows that decide on things like loans. In these high-stakes environments, security and stability are everything, and that is what Java is famous for.
Now, it's not just about money. Java is also right at the heart of the big data revolution. When companies need to crunch just enormous amounts of information, they turn to tools that are, you guessed it, built on Java.
So if you've ever heard names like Hadoop, Spark, or Kafka thrown around, you've seen Java's impact. Hadoop helps store unbelievable amounts of data. Spark processes it super fast, and Kafka basically acts like a central nervous system, streaming data everywhere in real time. These are the foundational tools of modern data science, and they're all written in Java.
So we've seen what Java does, but how? How can one language do all of this? How does it power an Android app, a bank server, and a data tool? Well, the answer is its secret sauce, its core philosophy.
The magic here is something called the Java Virtual Machine, or the JVM for short. The best way to think of the JVM is as a universal translator. It's this layer of software that sits between the Java code and the actual hardware of a device. And this translator, it's the key to Java's famous promise: write once, run anywhere. Here's how it works, in 3 really simple steps. First, a developer writes the code. Then, that code gets compiled into a universal format called bytecode. This bytecode doesn't care if it's going to run on a Windows PC, a Mac, or an Android phone. And finally, the JVM on any of those machines takes that exact same bytecode and translates it into instructions that specific device understands. It's a genius idea, one piece of code that can run literally everywhere.
So you have to wonder, right? In a world filled with newer, shinier programming languages, how is it that this 25-plus-year-old technology is still such a powerhouse? Well, let's break down its core strengths.
This quote really just nails it. Java's real value comes from this incredible mix of being mature, super powerful, and having a massive ecosystem of tools and libraries that have been battle-tested for decades. You just know it's a reliable choice.
When you put it all together, you really see the secret to its success. You've got that platform independence thanks to the JVM. You have a gigantic ecosystem of tools for pretty much anything you can imagine. It's designed from the ground up to be secure and robust. It's great at handling lots of tasks at once, which makes it fast. And it has decades of support from major companies. That's why it's a powerhouse.
And that kind of leaves us with one final thought. As we've seen, the answer isn't just about the code. It's about trust. It's about reliability. And it's about a brilliant design that lets it run just about everywhere. So the next